William, it's Robert.
Hey, Robert.
Just calling to let you know there's some bear hunters out here.
Thanks for calling, man. Maybe I'll give Jason Moody and Bella Kula a call.
Okay, I'll watch out for them.
Hey, William.
Hey, Jay. Just got a phone call from Quatna.
Oh, man, okay. What do you want to do?
Just wanted to phone and let you know and see if, with your schedule, to see if you're able to go in there or not.
We'll make our way out that way as soon as we can.
Okay.
They took 3 shots. First shot knocked the bear down. Second shot was to make sure it was down. And then the third shot they took was from their 12-gauge defenders to finish the bear off. It's a bear that my brother and I named him Cheeky. And he'd crawl in the grass and pop his head up and look at us and stick his tongue out at us. He just kept getting cheeky with us, just walking up and down the beach. And they came out at 10 to 10 with their bear hide, skull and paws. Went back to my boat and got my DNA equipment. Took DNA right from the bear hide. Took a bunch of pictures with them. They said, oh yeah, we've seen your sign.
We could see the one boat there in Quatna. It was Robert Johnson's boat.
By that time, of course, the hunters were long gone.
He let us know the bad news. He said that bear had been taken out of there that night earlier. I was devastated. I was hoping to save his life.
At that point, I didn't know what to feel. So when I got back to camp, I just sat there and cried.
The idea of trophy hunting, I really don't understand it. Flying out into these wonderful areas and searching for these majestic bears that are nowhere else in the world just to shoot them, I don't get it. I don't understand it because I only hunt or fish for food, and that's the way I think it should be.
Me, myself, I hunt for things such as black-tailed deer, ducks and geese, make sure everything's used, and I think Robert's in that same category. I mean, he's doing it so that his family can eat. It's not because he wants a skin or something hanging on his wall.
So the 4 nations are trying to work together. They want to shut down the bear hunting in the Central Coast.
I think that would be the best idea.
How come?
Because they leave everything except for what they want.
Is that the way you were brought up? Did they hunt anything just for fun?
They only hunted when they needed the food. It wasn't ever a sport.
Come and have a look at this. Here's a skull off, this place is a mess right now, but this is a skull off a big grizzly bear that we harvested years ago. And he was a pretty big guy. He was among the top, 20 or 30 that were ever killed in the world. I'm not interested anymore at all in hunting bears. I don't guide for bears. I haven't guided for bears in 10 years, you know. So I've come to terms with the fact that I've sold my guide territory and I've shifted gears into a different business venture of touring and wildlife viewing.
In Bella Kula here, we have a huge opportunity to show tourists and the outside world how beautiful it is here. As a new young leader, I'm looking at opportunities for our people that are sustainable, where they're non-extractive and not taking from our territories. A lot of people around the world want to come and see bears. So I think it's a real opportunity for our community to get involved. And what it also does is that it brings our people onto the land.
Was my upbringing traditional? No. I grew up in the cities most of the time, so I was very much removed from my culture and didn't have the oral traditions that were passed on. And I felt there was a gap in terms of trying to understand who I was and what I was here for. Number one, just getting involved in tourism in general really helped me understand my territory, understand my people, and it hires 35 people in my community. And that's 35 people more than some of the extractive industries such as logging. So to me, we want to prove the point that bears are worth more alive than they are dead.
I don't see bear hunting bringing much, if any, income into our nation.
I do know that it's hardly generating any money to the local economy, and there's outfits like myself and many other outfits here now that are depending on the wildlife viewing to create an economy, people that live here, people that own land here. For the most part, the people that hunt here, they don't own land here and they don't live here and they're not dependent on a business here to survive. So you have to take that all into perspective.
So about a week after Cheeky was shot, we had some Interfor engineers come in on their helicopter. And then they mentioned that they had spotted a bear carcass in the estuary. And that evening when the tide came up, my coworker and I went up in the punt and took some more DNA right from the carcass. And we tied a line on it and towed it. Took it out of the estuary so that the smell of the dead bear wouldn't affect the rest of the bears that were coming down in there.
The province came up with these grizzly bear habitat maps, and I looked at their maps, and none of these maps had areas where there was grizzly bear habitat on the islands. So we said, well, we know there's bears on those islands. I've been watching those bears for the last 5-6 years. So I phoned the province and I told them there's grizzly bears there, and they said I'm not a scientist or biologist, and that I had no credibility in that scientific community.
Two of them?
Three. Because that one just walked this way, so that's a totally different bear. It's just the cub.
Is it?
Yeah.
Holy.
That's the mother right there, sniffing the camera. So I knew that I had to develop a relationship with academic institutions and try and find the resources to get out there and fund some projects so that we can get out there and ground truth it.
My name is Christina Service. I'm a graduate student at the University of Victoria at the Raincoast Hackeye Lab.
I am Laura Grant, and I'm a field technician with the Spear Bear Research Foundation, as well as a research assistant with the Hackeye Raincoast Lab at the University of Victoria.
So when we first came out here in the spring, early May, we set up these barbed wire corrals. So we basically build a barbed wire fence and then build a pile with sticks and moss and lots of woody debris meant to mimic a kill. And then we use a non-reward bait and create a really nasty, nasty smell on that pile to attract those bears in. And it's non-reward in the sense there's no calories involved, so the bears aren't getting habituated, but it does draw them in.
Either they go underneath the wire, or they go over top of the wire and leave hair from their legs or their belly. And then we can go and collect that hair, and in that hair possesses the genetic code that's unique to every individual bear.
We can run different hormone techniques to see what sort of nutritional stress these bears are under. For males, how much testosterone they had in the last year of hair growth, and for females, whether or not they're pregnant, sort of the same hormones that are in us and humans as mammals. We can also look to see how much salmon they ate the previous year and what proportion of their diet that was. And also just, we know that this is an individual bear now, and if we detect an individual here at Watson Bay, we can also see if it's moving around the territory and how it's moving across seasons and across years.
Well, what we wanted to do is we wanted to make sure that we're collecting our data in the same way, because if we're collecting our data in the same way, then we can look for patterns between territories so that everybody has access to a lot more information than we would if we only did our own project.
Science is basically adding to those arguments that we already have as Aboriginal people.
We've always had an understanding of bears and had a feel for what it's like to live with them. But to have that whole science side of it, the whole genetics piece to it, really adds a lot of weight to it and gives us a lot of what some people might call sound science.
They base how many bears they're allowed to kill in a year on what they believe are the current population dynamics. But if they've changed sufficiently to change the bear's behavior, then there's something out of balance out there. And considering how dependent they are on the fish, and the fish stocks are falling all over the place, then I can't see how those population estimates can be correct.
The scary part for me about the hunting and killing of bears is that we really don't know how many are there. I mean, generally we know deforestation, climate change, declining salmon runs are all impacting the bear. I would rather protect them and have them here for thousands of years to come, rather than pretend we know what is going on and allow the needless killing of them.
Well, he was alive. I was about 50 yards from him. Most of the bears that we got to see, we just talked to them and told them who we are, what we're doing there. And then you got these bear hunters who come in and sit and hide in the bushes and wait for a bear to come out. They get home, they brag about it and tell their friends, yeah, look what I got. I went all the way up to this beautiful country and come home with this hide.
Hey, Rosie.
Hi, Chris. Oh, the lab called for you.
After Cheeky was killed, Robert visited the carcass at Quatna. He sampled a little tiny tuft of hair, and that's all we need. He scooted back in a boat to Bella Bella, went to the post office, and to our surprise, in fact, Cheeky was not an individual that we have detected previously in any of the areas we sample. What we do know is that Cheeky was 5 or 6 years old, probably 2 years, 3 years since he left his mother. He probably left his mother's range, as is common with males. But there are a few things that we'll never know about Cheeky. My feeling is he wouldn't have fathered any cubs yet, being so young and relatively small. But in a long-lived animal like a grizzly bear that may live 25 or 30 years in the absence of sport hunting, he may have fathered 100 cubs in his life. The idea that this hunt is based on sound science, to me and to a great many other scientists, is absurd for a number of reasons. But in an overarching way, science provides information. It does not provide permission. to behave unethically. And to me, that's the primary issue at stake here. This is unethical behavior, to kill something without eating it.
My name is Frank Henius, and I've been here all my life. My family are hunters here, and in the old days, I actually hunted one grizzly in my life. And at that time, I felt good for a little bit, and when I started skinning it, it felt kind of rotten. To tell you the truth, they looked like a squat little human with no skin on it. Scary and eerie. I got that feeling like killing my own brother or something like that. That kind of a feeling.
We had elk, quach, nan, suit, slacha, one of them cats.
My name's Clyde Talios and Chekila. I am Nuchalkamch. My family lineage comes from Taliomch from South Bannock. And in Taliomch, our teachings that have been handed down say that our first ancestors came from the upper world in the beginning of time in the form of the grizzly bear.
On the walls of heaven hung all the coats of the different animals, and he gave the first people a choice of what they wanted to come to earth as.
They used the grizzly bear, the nun, as a way to move between the worlds.
When they came down, the coat of the animal went back to heaven. Now we have a direct connection to the Creator through our crest.
When we're here in Kimsquit with our young people, we teach them these lessons. We teach them to respect that we're in the home of the grizzly bear right now.
My grandfather's uncle told a story of a grizzly bear, that there was two people that were out in the inlet and they were fishing. One of them looked over the other side of the channel and saw something swimming. And as the people got closer in the canoe, the bear started to get to shore and its feet hit the shore and it started to walk up on the beach. And as it reached the forest line, it stood up on two legs and then it transformed completely into a human, and it was a man. And he started singing the song as he was walking. And they remembered the song and they took it back to their tribe. And for generations that song was used whenever they brought out the bear dance for their ceremonies.
They're us, we're them. This is ours, we share it. You know, it's just that way. We've been living so close to them for years and years that we feel like they're family. And we don't like hunters just coming here and blasting away and just taking the head.
I would like to see British Columbians really take a look at what they want for the future.
I don't think it's just a First Nations thing to have respect for these animals. I think it's bigger than that, it's wider than that.
This is not just a Central Coast issue, this is a coast-wide issue. This is a British Columbia issue and the Canadian issue.
We've got to protect them now. This is a time to do it.
We all have to do this together, right from Rupert right down to Knights Inlet, I guess, where the last of the big grizzlies are. Otherwise, they'll be gone.